Hi, I am Reginal Remarais. In this video, I'll be speaking about four types of informative presentations in business, which are briefings, reports, webinars, and media interviews. At the end of this video, I want all business people to be aware of these four types of informative presentations so that they can use them when informing their internal or external audience. Through my young age, I had the privilege to work for the United Nations Stabilization Mission in Haiti, MINUSTA, where I had to attend a briefing almost every morning. I found it weird and wondered if they couldn't use any other ways to inform the staff. As a college student, I've done some research and I've particularly learned from my communication class that there are various ways to inform in business. These ways include briefings, reports, webinars, media interviews, podcasts, and training sessions. Why this topic? Information plays a key role in today's business landscape. At any time, any of you may be called upon to inform either your boss or your coworkers or anybody else about a situation that's going on in the company you work for or the organization you belong to. There are several ways to do so, but you may not know which one to use. That's why, throughout this presentation, I'll be raising awareness of four of them so that you can use them when informing your audience. The four types of informative presentations I'll be speaking about are briefings, reports, webinars, and media interviews. Now, let's get started with briefings. As the name suggests, briefings are generally short meetings, 2 to 3 minutes, where important information is shared with team members in order to provide clear understanding of the role. Police officers and nurses generally begin their shift with a briefing where people going off duty inform their replacements of what has been occurring recently. Briefings may summarize a position or remind attendees of some policies. You may hear, for example, at a hospital, as you know, we are committed to treating each patient equally with so much humanity. After seeing briefings, let's see reports. A report presents or explains what you or your team has done or learned. Business reports are usually formal, objective, greatly rehearsed, greatly researched. In a business report, all facts should be clear. Whether your report is about a single situation or about the overall performance of a company, the facts should be clear and verifiable. There are three types of reports: status reports, final reports, and feasibility reports. Status and final reports are generally used in informative presentations, but feasibility reports are used in persuasive presentations. That's why in this speech, I'll speak a little bit about status and final reports. Status report present how a project is going on. You may hear, for example, how's the project going on? What have you covered so far? But for a final reports, it is presented at the end of an undertaking when everything is done. A final report should have a structure. First, you need to introduce the report. Say your name, your teammate's name, and your role. Describe the project that you are reporting on. Provide necessary backgrounds. And you need to provide facts, data, and key findings that are relevant to the purpose of the project. You need to be clear and specific because the entire report depends on what you are saying in this section. And as well, you need to summarize the key finding. And after, you need to recommend solutions to any problems mentioned in the conclusion and even summarize how these solutions would work in the future. After covering briefings, reports, let's see webinars. Ronald Adler, in his book called Communicating at Work, Strategies for Success in Business and the Professions, defines webinar as a presentation, lecture, workshop, or seminar that are transmitted over the web with limited audience interaction. Webinar sessions usually last 45 to 60 minutes. They are typically viewed online, although they can be emailed to participants or uploaded for on-demand viewing. When presenting a webinar, you need to know that it's very useful. It can be used for e-learning, employee training, customer onboarding, product demonstration, panelist discussion, etc. And to design a good and beautiful webinar, you need to think of these followings. First, like I said before, 45 to 60 minutes. You should have a host who will present the speaker, open the floor to question, explain the situation of the webinar, and also conclude the session. You should also prepare for question as the speaker. And it's important to have a webinar script, which is a pre-written dialogue of the information you want to share with the audience. And as well, the topic of your webinar should explain clearly to participants what they will be learning or doing if they attend your webinar. Now, after covering webinar, let's go to media interviews. A media interview is a discussion involving question and answer with the purpose of broadcast. When speaking about media interviews, you need to think about two most common presentations: individual media interviews and press conferences. Individual media interviews can be improvised or planned. Improvised, for example, when you're leaving your office to go home, a reporter may run up to you and ask for your thought about an ongoing situation. And when they are planned, that means you have enough time to schedule and meet the reporter or the journalist to give your thought on a new initiative or any special occasion. But in any scenarios, you need to remember that media interviews will be recorded. So you need to choose your word carefully. A press conference is a type of media interview where there is a meeting organized by an organization to provide very important information and let journalists ask questions. When preparing an effective press conference, you need to think of these. First, choose a host to introduce the speaker and facilitate the question and answer session. Generally, they last 20 to 45 minutes. You need to choose a newsworthy story. That means a story that affects many people or that affects an important person in the organization, or a story that has a human interest. You need to determine time and location. For the location, it can be your conference room or any other place within a reasonable traveling distance, or a place that meets all the technical requirements for media setup. You need to select speakers and rehearse with them, maybe in front of a mirror, in order to pay attention to your nonverbal communication. You need to keep statements brief and provide clear and short answers to questions. To finish, throughout this video, we have seen there are various ways to inform in business, but we have covered 4 of them, which are briefings, reports, webinars, and media interviews. Each of them has a particular length or content or structure, but it's a fact that using any of them can help improve processes and also efficiencies in business. That's why I encourage all of you to start using any of them when informing your internal or external audience in business. Thank you.